Hey guys, welcome back. If it's your first time on the channel, my name is Ryan. I'm a full-time reseller on sites like eBay, Poshmark, and Depop. Today's video, I'm just gonna kind of talk about a message I found from my cousin from almost 10 years ago. So in the message, I messaged my cousin and asked him to like my Facebook page. At the time, I was just in an antique mall in a small town that didn't even have an antique mall until this one popped up. And I remember it so much that I ordered comics from, I can't remember what site it was from, but it was just a bunch of like miscellaneous comics because my town did not have any comic books at the time. So I was like, I wanted to bring comics to my community and also collectibles and things like that, because the closest vintage stock or GameStop or Game Exchange that we have around us. There's a couple other different businesses that also do it, but there's nothing in the town that I lived in at the time, and I wanted to bring that to my community. So that was really the whole purpose of me really diving deep into reselling. And it's crazy to think that that was 10 years ago. So I messaged my cousin. My name used to be Cherokee Street Comics and Collectibles, just because it was on Cherokee Street. And I ended up changing it probably about a couple months in. It was not Cherokee Street Comics and Collectibles very long. I can't remember why I went to Hollow Box. I believe I used to draw all the time. Like, I was in all the AP arts and things like that in school. Even it was kind of funny, I always got like male artist of the year at my high school and things like that. I don't really do anything with art anymore, which is kind of sad. I was very passionate about art, which I kind of got that from my older brother. He was really big into art too, and I don't think he draws anymore either, but he's really big into photography. He takes great pictures. But so it's kind of weird to think that 10 years ago, I just wanted to bring something to a community. That's was my main purpose of why I really wanted to like resell. Also, I just got into the concrete industry, and if you know anything about the concrete industry, it's a very weathered base. So if it rains, it's like too cold a temperature, things like that, you don't work.
I don't know how I'm supposed to pay the bills. Probably have to start selling crack or rapping about selling.
So I wanted to try to make like supplemental income as well. And I thought, well, reselling would be that. I was already going to comic shops and things like that. So I figured, why can't I bring this to my town? So I did. And truthfully, the antique booth only lasted probably, I want to say like 4 months before I ended up pulling it. And there was a bunch of drama too. There was a comic book game store in the next town over that he had a shop, and I would go all the time and buy stuff, but he was accusing me of buying stuff to resell in my shop. And it made this whole ripple effect in our community, which was, it was weird. It kind of like divided a bunch of people, because it went to, well, I'm paying full price for the item. Oh, I want to kind of go back a note. I was not buying stuff from him. Like I said, I was ordering stuff online and in bulk and getting it shipped to me, and also going like Walmart, retail arbitrage kind of thing, or going to find exclusives. But there was very few items that I bought from him and put in my store. Most of the items that I bought forever ago with no purpose of reselling. I bought it for me, but you know, I wanted to stock my store. But so I wasn't even buying stuff from him to put in my store, but he accused me of that, and he banned me from the store. He made this huge post on Facebook and everything of not buying stuff from him and reselling it, and it made this huge like ripple effect, and people diving deep into his background, which, let's just say there was some shady stuff going on with his history. And then a lot of people, let's just say after that, he didn't last much longer because he ended up starting this drama. It's just kind of funny because a lot of people associate it with me, but I had nothing to do with it. All I did was try to bring a comic shop to my town, and that's it. And I was buying offline, but they didn't want anything. So I used to go and do cosplay at his shop for like promotional events when movies came out and things like that, for free. For free. Actually, he would give me like a credit or something, and I would buy like a comic book or something. But it was crazy. Like, he was accusing me of buying stuff and reselling it when that's what he does, but he didn't want it to happen to him, but he was getting the price he was asking. I don't know. Make that make sense, right? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I can make the internet divided on this topic too, but he was mad at me for potentially buying stuff from him and reselling it. That's crazy, right? He was getting I wasn't even like asking lower prices or anything like that. I was just buying the stuff from him for me. That's what's crazy. So let's fast forward. After probably midway from the antique mall, I ended up really kind of getting into eBay because of work. It's just a lot easier. So I got into eBay, kind of learned it, which even 10 years ago, eBay was a lot different. Trying to understand shipping, I think, is the hardest part for me when I first started, because I just did not understand it. I didn't go to the post office. I still use the eBay rates. I just did not understand like all the ounces. I don't even think I really had a scale at the time, so I just kind of winged it, really, which I don't advise, but this is different times, so it's different now. So I started eBay then, and it's a lot harder to sell like cheaper comics and things like that even 10 years ago on eBay, and this is 2016. But Funko Pops were really popular at the time, and I feel like Funko Pops were probably one of my #1 sellers back in 2016. And I would sell comic books here and there. There was a friend that he lives in Missouri. He had a comic convention here in town, and I would always go to his comic conventions, and it was called Collector Con. It was a awesome convention, but it kind of only lasted a few years. But you just met all these other people in the kind of comic and nerd collectible kind of space, which it was a good community, I thought at the time. And you know, life happens, people kind of split off, and I feel like that's what happened to a lot of us. I still talk to people here and there, but it's not like what it used to. I do miss the people, where a lot of them are still friends on Facebook, but you know, there were couples together, they're split up. Me and my wife used to go to the conventions all the time. We always had so much fun. My youngest son, we'd even bring him when he was a baby to our conventions, and you know, people loved all over him because it was just a nice community. And even before the events, we'd go to other vendors, trade and buy, and I do miss that. That was a lot of fun. And you know, being just online now, you don't get that interaction like with, you know, being at a convention. And I know there's like pop-up shows around me, but it's mainly like vintage shirt bros and stuff and gals, and I just don't do that. But so I messaged my cousin and asked her to like my page, and I was like, oh man, I totally forgot it was called that. And just seeing the journey, how antique booth, eBay, comic conventions, then kind of a space, because when I was in concrete, I was just a driver. I ended up hating the job a little bit, and then I left, and then I came back, then I left again, try something else, and I went to a different company because there was no advancement. Then I went to a company, got advancement to being a what's called a foreman, or also a plant operator. So I would have the machine to dispense in the concrete mixers, trucks, and then I ended up becoming a supervisor, which I really enjoyed. But I had a lot of I don't know, how do you say it? You're on call 24/7, and it was always like little issues, and it just kind of got old. And even my wife was saying how my attitude was changing, how I used to just go up to anybody and everyone and talk to them, and I just wasn't that person anymore. And I didn't like who I was, and I could tell she didn't like who I was. I was very short-tempered, and that's just not me. I'm not that way. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try reselling full-time. That is something I still was doing somewhat on the side. And we paid for a trip to Las Vegas to go to When We Were Young festival, purely on me selling our Funko Pop collection. Like, we got the VIP, and then it canceled on us. That's a whole nother story that maybe for another time. But we went to the first ever When We Were Young festival, and it canceled on us. We got to go to a pop-up show to see Bring Me the Horizon, which was awesome, and it's such a small venue. But that's when I really kind of realized, like, hey, I could do this. Then my next challenge was like, well, by just reselling, I want to get a base set Charizard Holo PSA 9, and I did. And I still have that card, and I probably would never get rid of it because it is the reminder that reselling is possible to be a full-time job. So with that, I made the jump. I really focused every hour after work of like, I'm going to post 10 a day, post 10 a day, post 10 a day. And sure enough, I could see like, all right, well, I'm getting close, not quite there. I'm getting close to almost what I make now. And I was probably finding better things then, where things have been kind of more competitive. And now I'm full-time, and it's crazy because I was doing 10 a day, and I'm doing about 30 a day now, which I will say is pretty exhausting. So even full-time, I'm only able to do 20 more, but I feel like sometimes the quality is not as good as when I had the 10. But I feel like maybe I have the pressure more now. I don't know. But it is just kind of crazy to think. You guys might hear the rain outside. It is starting to rain a little bit. But the journey from 10 years ago, it just is a reminder that things don't just happen overnight. They take time to build. They take time to learn. And things also change that can kind of divert. Life happens. From when I first started, I had a little baby, and then I had another baby, and now I have 2 kids. So, and they're growing fast. And reselling definitely helps me kind of enjoy that time with them, and that's one reason I love it too. So I know this is kind of just a little bit about me, but if you wanted to kind of know how my journey started, it all started inside of an antique booth because I wanted to bring comics to my city. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please comment below maybe how you started. Just kind of give someone a breathe. I would love to hear like, why did you start? Please subscribe if you want to catch more content like this. And one last thing, if you know what the Route 66 Blue Whale is, there was one time I did a comic convention, or not a comic convention, there was like a farmer's market kind of thing there, that I set up the Cherokee Street Comics and Collectibles at the Blue Whale, which is a Route 66 tourist attraction. So that's just kind of a fun fact too about me and the business. Now it's Box Collectibles. And truthfully, the name came from when I was an artist. I drew this person with a TV box on their head that was full of static doing different things, and he had a hollow box on his head. So it kind of just evolved from that. That's why it's kind of like my logo's a little space themed, kind of Star Wars-esque, is because I'm a nerd. There's no way about it. I'm a nerd. So if you like this video, we'll see you next time. Please like, comment, subscribe, and bye.